Well, my presentation today concerns my latest collaboration with German publisher Gestalten, and it's a new book based on fashion's fascination with mutation in space. 10 minutes ago, I had the book in my hands for the very first time. Well, I've never seen the book since, we started working and doing the research with Gestalten. And I'll give the book to the crowd so you can have a look at it. It's not the book that will be released since it's like a mock-up we just received for the presentation today. So, well, you can have a look and send the book back here. First slide, it has nothing to do with technology, I know, but it does link to the rest of the presentation since this is how my research started for this book. So approaching our body as a canvas, as a surface, to reflect our individuality and identity dates, as you can see, back centuries. And each and every culture has its own way of doing so, something that most of the times is strongly associated with the ideals of beauty of each region and age. So the process have been used as, this process have been used as an indicator of each culture, wealth, and status. So originally, the term mutation mainly refers to a complete change of form, structure, or substance. Genetic mutations can result in alterations and variations in physical appearance, human facial structure, skin color, height, and body shape. The concept of mutation, the transformation of the human body, though, has inspired a plethora of designers and artists to experiment with new materials, production methods, and new shapes, and as a result create avant-garde pieces that stand somewhere between art and wearable fashion. You can see here the work of artists Lucy McRae and Barthes, who created a series of garments that were applied on the human body as an extension to their skin. On the first slide, you can see a costume they created with grass seeds that they were keep watering, and 8 days later, you can see what happened on the second picture. So when we think of the term pioneer, we often picture an explorer breaking new ground, pushing forward into the new. A pioneer, though, might be a scientist or even an artist, but in this case, it's a fashion designer. But what distinguishes pioneers in the context of the otherworldly is not just the media which they work, but also the fact that they so often reject the hunt for a solution and so frequently set out to ask a question on the first place. The system of fashion is based on a condition of constant renewal, and because of its biannual seasons, there is never a full stop. So this constant thirst for newness means that the role of the designer is never complete. The perpetual nature of innovation means they are constantly searching for different ways of creating clothes and staging new ideas. Thierry Mugler was one such designer. In the 80s, he has presented his neon ravers and otherworldly aliens, declaring a total rejection of the prevailing trends. He loathed the world around him and dreamed of creating another. And he did just that, integrating technology, architecture, science, and fashion with an aim to provide not comfort, but confidence to those who don his designs. He presented a radicalized projection of womanhood, one that completely shunned the classical approach to femininity. Mugler's women were superheroines and sirens who did not slink, but rather strutted along the streets. It was to be the birth of a new way of power dressing, one that scrutinized the lines of the body, accentuating them as part of a dramatic spectacle. As the designer said, the potential of your body is endless. Confidence is an important tool within pioneering fashion. The new can equip us with a sense of differentiation and excitement, breaking us out of the conventions of the everyday. No one ever epitomized this better than London-based creative Lee Bovary, whose cute vision of commonplace dress was born out of a lifestyle that rejected the mundane and embraced the vivacity of the London club scene, a scene which was a laboratory for the radical creations of the fashion's vanguard. Lee adopted masks to hide the human face, used ribbons bindings to conceal the wearer's genitals and turn it into a genderless being, and employed PVC as an adornment for his new breed of polysexual aliens. It was shocking enough to grab the headlines of the daily papers and draw creatives from around the world to London. The result was a collision of fashion, dance, music, and performance that spawned new ideas behind closed doors and introduced them to the outside world. If transformation and originality are the main characteristics of a pioneer, then Lee Alexander McQueen was to take those attributes to a whole new level. The so-called infant terrible of British fashion, McQueen, was certainly influenced by Bovary, but rather than turning back to club culture, he looked to the fragility, beauty, and nature to inform his designs. While other designers presented dull collections on plain white catwalks, McQueen fearlessly redefined what a fashion show could be. And fearlessness breeds innovation, as it did in McQueen's final show, Plato's Atlantis. The show itself was to push technology to its limit, not only in the way it was staged, but also in the way it was presented. For the very first time, fashion was streamed live over the internet, making fashion accessible to the masses and encouraging active engagement with it. No longer was the runway event reserved exclusively for the privileged ticket holder. Instead, it became available to anyone who chose to tune in. Facilitating an easy exchange of ideas, the digital is a language that pioneers have become fluent in. Japanese designer Rei Kawakubo, the creative director of Comme des Garçons, creates garments that actively challenge the idea of masculine and feminine, but not through the predictable inclusion of skirts, shirts, and dresses. Far more radical are Kawakubo's silhouettes, which are not designed to be sexual, but rather to provide a deeper sense of satisfaction to the wearer. Souls of fabric, two-dimensional silhouettes, and impossible geometric shapes transform the body from recognizable anthropoid to a walking work of art. Her vision is just as unapologetically ruthless today as it was at her 1981 debut, when a shocked audience nicknamed her baffling creations Hiroshima's Revenge, in reaction to the radical shapes and volumes of fabric she employed. There are continued attempts to be rebellious or modern, or even attempts to pioneer from within the fashion system. But sometimes it takes a true pioneer to show us a route away from the runway, a path truly removed from traditional notions of how things are done. It is in this period that Iris van Herpen exploits the 21st century for its revolutionary technologies, and she continues to push the capabilities of artificial intelligence through 3D printing and alternative materials. In doing so, she has turned concepts of fashion creation on their head and raised some interesting questions that may change the way designers work. If a computer has the ability to construct a garment itself, does the role of the designer become obsolete? Is human craftsmanship in jeopardy? For Van Herpen, the answer in each case is no. Not because she wishes to cling to the past, but because she's so open to the future. Machinery may cut down the time required to produce a particular garment by removing human labor from the equation, yet it also cuts designers free from the temporal restraints, allowing them to execute more ambitious visions. Her machines need her curating eye and technical hand as much as she needs her machines to help produce her pioneering designs. Out of this collaborative friction come garments that would once have been considered impossible. These are some designers that are part in the Otherworldly book. But besides the pioneers, we have designers like Hussein Shalayan, Studio Xo, Lucy McCrane Bartiers, photographer Daniel Sandwald, and shoe designer Peter Pops. The book presents the work of more than 70 designers and artists, as well as explore the concept of the otherworldly within photography and editorial design. Otherworldly, Avant-Garde Fashion and Style will be released on the 23rd of February. Thank you very much.